which became a symbol of anti-coup protests in Myanmar 2 years ago. A group even reenacted scenes of how protesters clashed with the army in the aftermath of the coup.
2 years on from a military coup in Myanmar, and the effects are still being felt by those living here. Finding ways to bring their loved ones to Singapore or keeping their businesses here going. These are just some of the issues that the Myanmar community faces. But those CNA spoke to are determined to press on.
Kate has been living in Singapore since she was 7 years old. But when news of the military coup in Myanmar broke, her thoughts immediately went to her relatives who still live there. The pandemic too weighed on her mind.
Both of the grandmothers are really ill from COVID, and we are unable to get them placed in the hospitals as well. So during that period of time, we were just really worried because it could probably be, the last moment, and we're unable to be there by their side.
2 years after their passing, Kate and her family have yet to fly over to pay their respects. They worry that the ongoing political situation there may affect their return to Singapore. Still, she hopes that one day she'll be able to bring her relatives here for a reunion, and she's not the only one. Tazin Kin, who is marketing manager of a labour employment consultancy, gets requests frequently from her clients to get their loved ones out of Myanmar.
I noticed a lot of Burmese workers, they would say my sister wants to leave the country. Anything that you have, could you just let me recommend to him so that they can just come here, and so I can feel this sense of urgency for their own family members to come out of the country.
Remittances also form part of Tazin Kin's family business. They serve those from the Myanmar community here who want to send money home. But they say their business has slowed.
Normally, nowadays, that means all of we are using wallet, mobile banking, internet banking are not smoothly over there. Cannot transaction is smoothly ready.
She adds that after the coup took place, banking procedures for Myanmar banks changed. From no withdrawal limits previously, those in Myanmar can now only withdraw up to the equivalent of 300 Singapore dollars weekly. Over in Clementi, Little Myanmar faces a different set of challenges. Pickled ginger imported from Myanmar is usually used in this pickled tea salad. However, after the coup, there have been delays in getting a regular supply of ingredients.
They come by the transportation, not only by plane, by the freight, the shipping company, they bring it in. So some of the occasions, yes, I had a bit difficulties.
So the chef decided to improvise. Using local ingredients, he tries to bring the flavor of Myanmar to local diners. And for those from Myanmar, a taste of home.
Migrant domestic helpers and their employers will soon have more ways to learn caregiving skills amid an aging population. The Association of Employment Agencies inked 2 deals with a training provider and a virtual platform developer to create courses and games. These mobile-friendly versions cover basic life support, how to monitor vital signs, wound care, and mobility management. They'll be rolled out by March. A separate physical course with different modules to teach caregiving and costs between $80 and $100 each will start in April. It aims to cater to about 2,000 foreign domestic helpers and employers this year. Sign-ups can be done through the AEAS. The event also saw 40 awards given out to outstanding MDWs, employers, and those who worked in Singapore for many years. There are about 250,000 foreign domestic helpers and close to 900 employment agencies that offer these roles in the country.
It is, I think, our responsibility, not just on AEAS and the EAs, but on our society, to show love and care for migrant domestic workers. And this is so that migrant domestic workers will be in a good state to support the families and care for the families, the employers' households, and have happy relationships.
Schools can now restart height-based activities like rock climbing and abseiling with more stringent safety measures. Education Minister Chan Chun Sing was at an adventure centre in Lim Chu Kang for the resumption. And the activities were suspended for 2 years after a 15-year-old boy died while on a high element course. Ernest Loy with this report.
These 80 students from Gan In Sing Secondary are ready to go. So are the instructors, having gone through more rigorous training.
Visual cues are very important. The body language, their response to instructions and so on. So we make sure that we ask the students, how are you feeling today? If anyone is not feeling well, please let us know. So if the student is not comfortable to head out, we will not force them.
Activities are resuming with tougher checks on facilities and equipment. They'll also be at half their operating capacity to help instructors get back in the groove.
Have you all been in this camp before?
And give students more time to acclimatise.
We never experienced all this before, and it's always looking at our phones, doing homework, always in the school or at home. So it's kind of a new experience for us to try and also learn how to be more responsible, resilient and confident.
They can see really from their from their classmates that they are doing it. So they will be able to go back and share with the parents that there's nothing to worry. We are really in good hands. The school will make sure that safety measures are in place.
She's referring to what's called an emergency action plan, which sets out the specific roles and responsibilities of staff to manage an unfolding situation.
President Halimah Yacob hosted 29 seniors from the Lions Befrienders Service Association at the Istana to celebrate Chinese New Year on Wednesday. They celebrated the festivities with a traditional Lohei session and origami making. The guests also took a tour in the inclusive garden and main building. Madam Halimah thanked the Youth Corps Singapore and the Lions Befrienders for helping to keep Singapore seniors engaged. Now, a new initiative aims to help keep hawker stalls afloat amid rising costs by subsidizing 5 million meals this year. But there's a catch. Seniors will have to learn how to pay without cash.
Learn digital skills and receive a digital red packet. It's a one-off deal that the government hopes will pay off abundantly.
As we progress, we do know that digitalization will be part of everyday life, and we don't want our seniors to be left behind.
These seniors will soon have reason to use their newfound skills. Every Friday, the first 100,000 customers to use e-payment service PayLah at 12,000 hawker stalls will get $3 off their meal. It's an initiative by DBS Bank to help people stretch their dollar.
We do recognize that inflation has been quite sticky. So from the Department of Statistics, we realized that food prices have actually increased consecutively for 10 months. And in particular for hawker food, it's now a 14-year high.
With these high prices in mind, hawkers hope the scheme will encourage more to buy from them.
With this discount, it can reduce the food cost, the food that they purchase from us as well. So in another way, it will help us to boost up our sales.
Even as the initiative tackles these short-term woes, the real big fish is a long-term digital goal.
Now, we previously brought you news of a wet January. Well, you can start to say goodbye to those chilly days and nights, Dawn.
That's a pity, but the weatherman says that those conditions, they are going to gradually ease and you can expect more sunshine in the first 2 weeks of this month. In fact, the temperature may reach, wait for it folks, around 34 degrees Celsius on several days when there is less cloud cover.
I'm kind of looking forward to not so many rainy days, but not so much, the 34 degrees Celsius days.
Just keep those air cons at 24 degrees, okay? Keep them cool. That's Singapore Tonight. Don't forget headlines anytime at CNA.Asia.
And we're also on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. We'll see you there. Good night for now.
Bye for now.
In our world, every day is a beautiful one. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
3, 2, 1, go!
Those are so good.
I'm tired from chewing. Ever wondered what goes into your favorite sausages?
Maybe the head of soft bones, then they grind it up. In this episode of Talking Point, I'll do the investigating for you
By putting these sausages through a lab test. Talking Point, Sunday on CNA.
Everyone is always on the go. There's also passion and movement to protect the interests of the underprivileged. I'm Wei Du, CNA, Hong Kong.
Here's a check on headline news this hour. Myanmar has extended a state of emergency by 6 months. State media say Army Chief Min Aung Hlaing will protect the constitution and has called for multi-party elections to be held. It comes on the second anniversary of the coup. Silent strikes have been held, while beyond the country, demonstrators expressed vocal opposition. A Singaporean teenager has been detained under the Internal Security Act. The self-radicalized student had planned to carry out attacks in the city-state using a knife and bombs. The post-secondary student had been self-radicalized with Islamic State or IS propaganda. Authorities say he acted alone. Britain is dealing with the biggest strike in more than a decade, with schools shut and rail networks disrupted. More than 500,000 workers are staging a walkout over pay and working conditions. About 100 public agencies are affected, including the health, transport and education departments. And that's the latest from the CNA newsroom.
ต่างชาติขนานนามว่า The City of Scrabble เลย
Scrabble is everything มันไม่ใช่แค่เกมแล้วมันก็ไม่ใช่แค่กีฬา
Fabber F A B B R คือหนูอยากเป็นแชมป์อยู่แล้วอะค่ะแชมป์โลกมันยากแต่หนูก็ต้องทำให้ได้ค่ะ
เกมนี้ต่อสู้กันด้วยไหวพริบผิดพลาดนิดเดียวมันจะทำให้แพ้ได้เลย
ผมก็ตั้งเป้าหมายเหมือนกับนักกีฬาคนหนึ่งที่อยากเป็นที่หนึ่ง
Good morning Baltimore Scrabble เนี่ยคุณไม่รู้เลยว่าคุณจะจับตัวอะไรขึ้นมาเราสามารถที่จะบริหารการเล่นของเราให้ดีที่สุดแต่เราไม่สามารถที่จะกำหนด Destiny ของเราได้
a very warm welcome to you all. The people that you see on stage are people living with dementia and their caregivers. Here we go.
I'm Shabir, and as a traveling musician, I often get asked, what is Singlish? So in part one of this two-part documentary on Singlish, I found out the surprising origins of this hybrid tongue.
Singlish did not come out of English. In fact, Singlish came out of Bazaar Malay.
I met the folks who kept Singlish alive through the 70s and 80s.
Rings and things from China, only 10 cents, come and buy la. She opened fried rice paradise.
They banned the album. The reason of improper use of English.
The 1990s saw a young nation coming round and finding its own voice.
I'm going out for kopi. Oi, you two, come here.
Don't give chat.
Singlish climbed the local charts. And for the first time on primetime TV, actors sounded like you and me.
Badly some things never change lah.
Me, doctor?
Yeah.
How come
Singlish got kind of like, pop, more hip.
English is the noodles and Singlish is the flavor of the noodles. You still eat it, you get nourished, you feel full, but then you get a bit of taste.
As a Singaporean, we don't think Singlish. We speak Singlish, it just comes out naturally.
But just as everyone thought, the coast was clear for our Hanos, Sioks, and Alamaks. Singlish is about to face the biggest challenge yet to its survival. And begins our story of Singlish Part 2.
I love him. He's amazing. He is extremely funny. He uses a lot of Singlish. He says like,
Hey, Aloy, don't like that leh.
Look what look. Wait. Use your brain, use your brain.
Best in Singapore, JB, and some say Batam.
Don't pray.
Don't pray. Doesn't mean don't be religious or don't be spiritual. It means don't play a fool.
If you are Singaporean, you'd know we're talking about catchphrases from Phua Chu Kang.
Phua Chu Kang here.
Singapores favourite contractor and the best in Singapore, JB and some say Batam.
It's very good.
Some of the lines were created by Gurmit because the character Phua Chu Kang was actually modelled after his school holiday working for this contractor who was exactly gold chain and perm hair uncle Tauke.
And Gurmit Singh, the lead actor, became synonymous with Phua Chu Kang, or PCK for short. PCK stayed on TV for almost 10 years, becoming Singapore's longest-running sitcom. Growing up, I recall watching PCK many a times, even before changing out of my school uniform.
There were so many characters and every episode was great. But what I remember most was how relatable Gurmit's character, Phua Chu Kang, was.
Yeah. Surprise! You know surprise, wrong house ah.
I grew up in Hougang, playing soccer in void deck with neighbours of every ethnic group. And that's how we spoke, with a mix of Malay and Hokkien. So I definitely felt PCK represented the Singaporean in me. PCK launched in 1997. The same year, the Asian financial crisis hit.
And if we turn back the clock, we might recall that as Singapore emerges from the crisis, the government redoubled efforts to remake the island into a global city.
And this plan included Phua Chu Kang.
Our schools must teach standard English, and our children must learn and speak standard English. Gurmit Singh can speak many languages, but Phua Chu Kang speaks only Singlish. If our children learn Singlish from Phua Chu Kang, they will not become as talented as Gurmit Singh.
Was I shocked that it was like so public? Yes.
The people around me were outraged.
I felt like I really have committed a crime. Oh.
It's all your fault.
Wait, officer, please don't show up.
You're my best friend, huh? How can you do this to me?
Kang,
Who can resist me? So handsome. What to do lah? You're too much, Frankie. Potong jalan, Rosie. You know I like her.
I never potong jalan ma. You. She never go out with you. She choked me first. Fair and square, what?
I don't care.
I'm playing Phua Chu Kang opposite Ong Su Man, who's playing Chu Kang's nemesis Frankie. Su Man was the executive producer of the sitcom when it caught in the crosshairs of the Prime Minister himself.
Long jump.
It started as some complaints, letters to the newspaper. And then we read about people complaining to MPs.
Were you upset?
Well, we didn't think in those terms. We think in terms of we are in trouble. The show is going to be cancelled. So for me, the concern was just to save the show. Our stand at that time was that Phua Chu Kang doesn't speak English. He was using colloquial English. So we thought we could get away with that.
But Chu Kang, you just have to start speaking proper English. Proper English?
So who defines what is colloquial English and what is Singlish? Like, did you guys have some guidelines to work with? Nah, nothing.
No. I think in the third season, we decided that Singlish was all the additional sounds we make, like the las, the lays, the ma.
So that had to be cut out?
Yes.
Did you think that the show also became less relatable the moment they removed Singlish?
I guess people were expecting Singlish, and the perception was that, that because there's no Singlish anymore, it's not funny anymore, I don't want to watch it anymore.
Right. So when you say, officially Singlish is not allowed,
yes.
What does that mean? Is that a memo out there?
No.